Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's topic, wildlife tourism and animal welfare, ethics and impacts, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader Arpita Dutta. I'm your host, Rob Mess. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Over to you, Arpita.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob, for introducing us. And thank you, everyone, for being here. This is a topic I think we all faced it, have seen it, experienced it, and thought about it, like the wildlife tourism. That's the reason why we all are here. And I know, as all the NHA guests and all the ELs and everybody who is working in NHA or in other, who are working in the wildlife, they are always so excited about the wildlife or any topic about the wildlife. So that makes, I think, a lot more fun and a lot of things to learn. So here, so unfortunately, we are actually, me and Aditya, we both were about to present this webinar, bring it to you a lot of informations and talk. But unfortunately, Aditya is in a very remote place. He, we have been trying for a long time to get him connected, or even he is trying, but somehow it didn't work. So I'll be the only one who is talking. So the short is on my shoulder. So I hope I'll just do the justice to it, but we will miss him for sure. So once we start that wildlife, I think before we talk about the tourism or animal welfare, most of us, who are anyway connected to nature and wildlife, we know that we are standing on the 6th mass extinction, and which is happening rapidly, much faster than Earth has ever seen. And it is like, between 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate. So, and this is only what we know, the accessed data, what we have. And we are losing a lot of things because of habitat fragmentation, deforestation, overexploitation of species for human use, natural disasters, which has increased definitely due to global warming. This whole climate change. And then we have this genetic inbreeding. Because of this habitat fragmentation, deforestation, the movement of the animal got ceased. The migratory routes where, now the human are existing there, the land, the encroachment towards this forest area, and animals do need to migrate to keep their gene pool, good. So that is now getting really hampering due to this deforestation, and that's the reason why we have this pocket, lot of pocket areas, but they are not connected. We are losing the natural corridors. And then, of course, this global change, whatever is happening around us. And unfortunately, a very minimum percentage of people are only concerned and aware of the situation. When we see the global population, we are a tiny amount of people who even talk about this extinction, conservation, and all these things. But I think that can take a measure, and a major thing, because everything is now in front of us, the threats we spoke about, and for which we are losing them. Their migratory routes are stopped. There are man-animal conflict are increasing. And of course, there are a lot other situations which are getting into this thing for this for the wildlife. But there are ways to know them, to learn about them, is watching wildlife. I think it's the most precious thing which has happened in my life, or I would say it's a priceless thing happened in my life, is watching the wildlife, learning about them. But when we talk about tourism, there are some impacts which get some negative effect on wildlife, but we will talk about it later, because I think wildlife tourism has reached in that extent, or people must know about the wildlife by seeing them, because only listening or watching documentaries, that's amazing, that to draw your attention, but when we have to see them, or when we see them in front, that's a different joy we share. And I think that time you forget everything, I mean, no matter how many times I see a rhino or a rhino calf, every time I feel, oh my gosh, did you see that? It just so spontaneous, it's just the reflex action which comes out, and I can see the same thing reflecting on the guest face, that yes, they are enjoying the sighting no matter how many times we have come across a rhino. So for me, I think being into nature for such a long time, what I feel is looking at them, observing them from a distance, that makes a lot of difference. I mean, you see them in their natural habitat, and you see with their natural behavior. They're not scared, they're not threatened. You keep a distance and you watch them doing their stuff. I think that's the most pleasant thing what we get from the wildlife. And wildlife often, or rather for us, it's always, captivates us with its beauty, grace. And wildlife watching in the natural habitats is aesthetically, I think, pleasing. Provide a sense of, wonderful appreciation. That's what I feel. And I think everyone who does that, they do feel almost the same, you know. And with this wildlife watching, it's an amazing platform uh, for, the educational experience, the learning about the species, their behavior, their habitat, their ecosystem. And this builds a deep connection between the human and the natural world, leads to an awareness and conservation. And I at least forget everything, no stress, and I get recharged. I mean, whenever I feel like I'm in the city for too long, I have to go to some nearby places so that I can recharge my battery. Otherwise, it's blink red only. And I think for us, and for people like us, and definitely who loves to travel in and around nature, this is like a meditation for us. And also, I can say this is an addiction. And this addiction will never cause harm to you. You are always, always overjoyed by seeing it. And yes, but there is a story. People who are so excited, they are more than a tourist, they are explorer. They want to know more, they want to gain knowledge, see the things, understand the things, like mixing up with the part of their life, that how things are happening, how the evolution is happening, what all is happening around. That's like an immaculate thing, what they can think of. But there are people, there are different types of tourists who, come for wildlife viewing. Somebody comes to just to watch that, okay, there is a national park or there is a sanctuary. Okay, let's go there, have some fun. That's the thing. They have nothing to do with what their behavior, what to observe and stuff. They just want to see it. That's fine. Next, there would be a traveler who would know that what is all about the, doing, wildlife doing there, a part of conservation, a part of knowledge. So those things they would try to, they would see all the parameters for which they can, see the wildlife in a different way. So we have all this kind of, people can make a crowd, or there can be a single person who is just sitting right in the corner and just watching around. So all this type of tourists we do have, who just travel for that. But I would say that tourism has taken a different shape, or a different a complete different picture when this ecotourism or conservation tourism has arrived. I mean, it has given us a huge hope because people who understand conservation tourism are very less. I'm talking about the travelers as well. And the people who just tourist, they are still huge in number. So, and of course, when there is so much of tourism, there are some negative effects or adversities towards the towards nature. So this ecotourism has brought a hope in all of us, because ecotourism or conservation tourism is based on like three pillars. There are many sub pillars, but main three pillars are like it based around nature. So what we are losing because of us, when we get into that same area, we kind of understand that what are we losing? We understand the importance of a natural world around us, and definitely along with her other creatures with whom we are sharing this planet. That makes one thing. Next is the education and like environmental education. So when we go there or when we travel, either you have the guide or either you get to know the culture. So it's all about an educational journey. Not only you are learning about the species, you are coming up across a different species, you are knowing the habitat, you are knowing the culture of the people who are living there, you are knowing about the community, how they are living their livelihood out there, like with the animals rather, because those people live in a close proximity towards the, I mean, with the wild animal. So those environmental education is there, which plants gives out what lichen does, why we are so fascinated about the fungus. I mean, there's all entire thing. It's like an ocean. I mean, we, no matter how much we swim, it's difficult to cross, I mean, or to know everything, right? So it's a never ending thing, so you'll never get bored. That's the best part of it. And then the sustainable management, which is very important for conservation tourism, because if only we talk about wildlife, we cannot save them. We have to make the local community and the people understand about the importance of nature, wildlife, and the tribes or the local community out there, for which they are the first person, you know, who get I mean, who get along, who get to know the wildlife much earlier or much better than the people who are traveling at that place. So I think giving them or coding them as the important factor in wildlife conservation or conservation tourism is very important. With all this, let me share an example of this sustainable tourism or sustainable conservation is the community forest of Nepal. As I worked in Nepal for almost 3 years, so what I could find is an amazing thing, or rather, I would say that is one of the first country who has come up with this idea, is the community forest. So what you see at the back is the core area of the forest. This is kind of a buffer zone, but this is known as the community forest. And you see there is not much difference. I mean, I cannot show you the back. Even that has also this thick forest. And here we have the same kind of drive, elephant, I mean, people do on the elephant ride. And here you can walk as well. But the main factor is this whole community forest, which is actually more in square kilometer than the core area, is protected by the community people. And you know how it happened? There were a lot of animal conflict. I mean, man-animal conflict were happening. People, they were mostly tribes. So they used to get inside the forest to get their like regular things from the forest, like firewood or seeds to plant it near their house. So these things were there. It was of course, it was difficult for the administration to make them understand or to stop them. So what they have done, they have given this land to them, like gave them the ownership, because animals don't understand this buffer zone, core zone. They roam everywhere. And after they have been given the ownership, all the revenue which generates from this community forest goes to the community. Like if there are any medical emergencies, any education stuff, or anybody in the, from the community needs some financial help or some help from the administration, they get it from that money, from that community forest fund. So imagine when they're getting a sustainable livelihood from the community, so definitely they are going to protect, because they know that people are coming to see these animals and they cannot mess it up, because there's another source of income, right? Because from the community forest itself, there is so many, from the community people, there are too many guides we have got in Nepal, and they are so much interested. Some were like amazing birders. They track awesome, like they track rhinos like anything. So yeah, so those they have taken the interest, to protect the wildlife, to understand the wildlife, and that makes so much of difference. And the fun story is, if they see somebody who they don't know, before the forest department or the military people come and ask questions to those people, the community people will come and first they will stop. They are so much concerned about it. I think this is an amazing example of giving the power or bringing community into the conservation. So yes, and with that, it's not only in Nepal, I think it's all throughout. The community conservation is so important to protect the wildlife, because you know what? They kind of, so there are some good impacts, right, of the tourism. So this is one of that. And while watching the wildlife, you think that somebody at your lodge is preparing food for you, doing your housekeeping, keeping like everything on spot. Your gypsy driver, your local guide, everybody is from the community. So imagine when we are traveling there, we are creating a sustainable livelihood for them. And that prevents the ecosystem degradation, because they understand the importance and they are getting jobs. Of course, that is another important thing to run their family. And sometimes what happens is, when you get to see it, when you are like raising the environmental awareness, that's a promotion for conservation policies and protected areas. That happens. And also financing conservation happens due to tourism. And even anybody wants to volunteer, they get a chance to do that, or they can opt for a volunteership in few areas, not everywhere, but in few areas definitely. Especially if you want to work with children in these areas, you are most welcome. This is an amazing opportunity to be only, of course. So those things, I think that makes a lot of difference when we talk about this whole ecotourism or conservation tourism concept. But there are some examples as well. When we talk about trophy hunting, which is still happening, and the company, like the trophy hunting companies, exploits wildlife resources, but honestly they do not even think of protecting wildlife from poaching as a priority in their work. And it happens in Kazakhstan, even where there are snow leopards as well. So they just use whatever resources are available. They're here, the involvement of the local like community or the community conservation is important. Because if tourism for live animals watching increases rather than trophy hunting, then we can at least save the animals rather than promoting trophy hunting for tourism to generate revenue, right? With the same way, almost like the same habitat, another place of snow leopard is our India. So, and here we have seen like amazing success. You know, the snow leopard tourism in India is a great success due to its conservation approach. What a big difference, huh? Like involvement of the local community is there. There are many homestays run by the locals. The employment of the locals is happening because the tourism is flourishing out there. And we have some finest guides and trackers in our snow leopard trip in that area. And they have been working with us for such a long time. And with this, not only understanding the conservation community and everything, but to give more protection and law to the land. You know, there are protection rules. There are compensation, because as the snow leopard sometimes kills the cattle, domesticated cattle. So of course, there were conflict. But then the law passed, they give compensation process been provided by the government with other NGOs and Snow Leopard Trust. So that make this so successful. And we have, though we still don't know that how many snow leopard is there in that area, but a rough estimation has happened in 2021, and that says like it's plus minus 300 individuals could be there. There could be more, because that is a very arid terrain. I mean, the terrain is so tough. So going for surveys and monitoring is really very, very difficult. So still, we have this much of number is who are surviving there. And we, fortunately, even this last season, we get amazing sightings of snow leopard. I mean, mother, cubs, they're hunting, feeding. It's something outstanding. So yes, so see, the conservation concept can change the life for the wildlife and the people who are over there. And of course, while we are traveling to these areas, and it's, I think we build up a huge connection with the people and the nature out there. Of course, the same thing happening in different parts of India, I would say, and in many other parts, of course. So in Kaziranga also, Kaziranga National Park, where we visit during our Grand India trip. So you see the rhinos, the greater one-horn rhino, are there, and people are conserving and people are protecting, though there are like poaching incidents happen, because the largest number of rhinos, one-horn rhinos, is there in this park, and but it has reduced a lot because a lot of monitoring and conservation programs has been happening in this parks. So it's all about the people, the local people who are working on this, along with the forest department, of course. And yes, so when we talk about all this conservation and everything, I think the most exciting part in this jungle is when we get up in early morning, whether it's winter, it's shivering cold, or if it's a summer, we get up in the morning, wait for our first coffee, and then we head on towards the forest in the vehicle. And getting inside that track, inside that forest, I think that is not only exciting, that is something, you would never want to miss it. Like even at night, if you feel like, okay, I mean, it happened, it say that, okay, Arpita, will tell you, if you see us tomorrow morning, we are going. If you don't see us, then we are not coming. We can take some rest. But trust me, it happens that every morning I have seen everyone out there. So it's I told that this is more like, addiction. It's like a meditation. You go inside, no matter what happens, you feel amazing out there. So yeah, but with the safari, now comes there are few instances like when we have to think about the tourism perspective, like how we should behave inside the forest or whenever, not only inside the protected area, but also in and around in and around the area. So this is like a birding, say birding thing is going on. Bird watchers are they are bird watchers. So imagine in an habitat, if they get to know that there is a bird, and we all, I mean not they, we all get to go there, right? We have to go there to see that bird. If it's uncommon or if it's just arrived for migration, and so this is more of a warbler sighting happening. So it is an example, but a lot of sometimes happen that people, gathered in such a way that they are actually disturbing the environment of that place, because either there are a lot of photographers over here, mostly they are watching, see they're having binoculars and all, but imagine that if there are hundreds of people in that area, it can disturb the animal, not only for bird watching, but it can disturb the animal, disturb the habitat, and sometimes they don't come back, because if they do nesting, if they're doing the breeding out there, then definitely it's difficult for the birds to be in their be in their natural behavior in front of so many peoples, and it causes a lot of their they get frightened. Could be, this is their language I'm talking, but there could be a lot of reason. So yeah, we have to be responsible enough that how we behave inside the forest. And when it comes to bird watching, this is another factor. A lot of people do work on it, is playing bird calls. When we talk about ethics, so this is one of the, like when we talk about ethics, we have to mention this, because bird has different types of calls and songs. We know that this is the song, this is the call, but if you're playing it in during the breeding season or during the normal time, the birds can get confused, or sometimes bird give different types of call, which is like a threat to let others know about the threat. And when we are playing the bird call, and if we don't know that, then this is a disaster for the bird. Imagine they have come to feed, and suddenly we play a threat call. So imagine they leave the food, they go away, and that's really bad for the wildlife. It's not only the birds, everything. The more we get involved, we getting involved in a wrong way, it's affecting the wildlife, definitely. And of course, it's not only the birds, it's about the animal viewing as well. So when we talk about animal viewing, I think we must mention about the most charismatic animal we have here. We come to see, even, it's like sometimes you get to see like quite a few in the whole drive in central India. But if you come, you would notice that over this tiger tourism, there are a lot of thing happens which you may feel in front of, you will see it in front of you, which is this. This too is our vehicle. We somehow made it in a queue, but you can see the lines, and actually there were a lot of vehicles which were rushing in and they were not keeping quiet. So we had to put the other vehicle here so that the rush stops somewhere, because somewhere they have to, but then again they moved. So we were watching a tiger which was drinking water, but everybody wants to have a good sighting of the tiger. So we should maintain and we should understand that there are other people, other travelers, and few who do not understand. They don't want to understand. So they will be always in a rush, they will try to move ahead by overtaking, even by getting out from the track. Sometimes this happens when a tiger comes out. That is, I feel I felt ashamed of that, how being a human, we do such kind of inhuman work, or showing some inhuman attitude. So most of the time we yell, I mean, we not have yell, we stop, we see if we get to see the tiger nicely, like maybe for a minute, couple of minutes. If this is the situation, we prefer to move away from this facade. This is not a good feeling of getting a tiger sighting. So we do that. Even you see here, this is the tiger which is lying over here, and you see the queue of vehicles, but thankfully all these vehicles were pretty quiet, like, because the tiger was sleeping, and sometimes he was like staring at us like this, and again it was going back to sleep. So there were no sounds, so we wait for almost 40 minutes waiting for him to get up and walk. But I think that day he was so lazy, and it's a cat after all. I mean, when they want to sleep, who can wake them up? They are the boss all the time, and it's a big cat. So of course then we left from there, from that queue, because we have to head out. I mean, we need to head out on the right time. We cannot be late inside the park. There are timings. So yeah, we left the situation, but many times it happened. I have used these pictures just to show you, but many times it happened we are the single vehicle, or maybe we are the two vehicle if we are together. Then we had like exclusive sighting of the tiger. And I always say, we embrace the forest, we appreciate the nature, and mother nature will never deprive us. And I hope, I keep my fingers crossed while saying this, but it happens. I mean, you are never disappointed while coming out, that because you get to see so many things, and there are too many tigers in those parks, so you never know. If you may be out from the queue, you bump into, or you just get see another individual just alone. So yeah, these things happen. But with this tourism and wildlife tourism, a lot of word comes with the ethical tourism with domesticated animals as well. That makes a lot of difference, because we have a lot of crucial controversies or topics, and there are a lot of questions, but there is a little difference. Not everywhere, but we do we do offer elephant ride only if the elephants are available. Why I'm saying this is because these elephants belong to the forest department. Forest department, this is Kaziranga National Park. Forest department need the elephant for patrolling, for monitoring the forest, because in this kind of park, vehicles are, I mean, it is very inaccessible. Neither you can walk or you cannot take the vehicle inside. So they are the only hope, or they are the only one who can take the forest department people inside the park to do the patrolling and stuff. And only if they have gone for the patrolling, then we cannot offer it, or they will tell us that they are not available, elephants are not available. But if the elephants are available, then we offer that, and you can go, you can take a ride, you can go close to the animals. Though in Kaziranga, even in vehicles, animals do, I mean, we get to see animals really close, but we definitely keep a safe distance. That is the first and foremost important thing, that safety comes first, then everything. Because wild animals, I mean, they are unpredictable, even the domesticated animals sometimes. But yeah, so what is the difference between the other joyride which happens in Thailand, or even the temple tiger which happens there, about this domesticated one? These are, even if we don't ride, these elephants will be there to help the forest department, and they are not being tortured or beaten or anything. It's just, you will feel like the normal wild elephant herd is going, because you can see there is a calf also follow the mother. And this is how the forest department go inside the forest. It is on the way inside the forest to look around that everything is fine or not with the forest, elephant. And no new elephant are there. These are captivated. They're captive elephants. They are like few calves are born in captivity. They have been again trained, and also they are used to with the whole scenario, and they they get bonded with the people who are taking care of them very nicely. I'll talk about this. I'm sorry. So here in India, you will find there are a lot of other places where this joyride is there, or people who owns the elephants. But with Indian government policy, those policies are, I mean, those license are not going to be renewed anymore. That has been stopped long back. So nowadays, if they lose the elephant, they cannot renew with a different elephant. So no more captive, no more wild capture to captivate the elephants. So that's a big sign of conservation, which is coming, which is gradually increasing in the country. And with that, we have this with a good note that in Kaziranga National Park, again, if the elephant is taking a bath at that point of time, and if we are away, I mean, if we are there at the moment, so this is the forest department, and this is the river right beside our lodge, which is Diflu, and you can actually interact with this elephant, and you can like scrub it, you can hug it, and you can actually touch it and feel it, and she would be more like, relaxing. Sometimes you'll see it is bubbling, like giving out bubbles from the trunk. So it's fun. And the thing is that the bonding you see with the mahout, like the handler, is so different. I mean, it's not like how we have our other domesticated animal. I mean, I have seen it, like the mahout was, the handler was not there for a few days, and the elephant has stopped feeding. It was almost sitting whole day long. And I mean, you can see you can see looking at it that it is upset or it is scared that who is going to. So there are always two person, that if somebody is not there, the other person, at least the elephant should be aware of that this person is also there. So yeah, these are there. And with all these things, I think we all ELs, the whole NATAP team and the NATAP travelers, I mean our explorers along with us, we go with the vision that conservation through tourism, I mean through exploration, I mean exploring the natural areas, the wildlife. I think the more we go, the more we travel, the more we see things, we understand the conservation, the process of conservation, and we can protect, our planet by inspiring all who are coming, and they can inspire others whom they are meeting. So it's like a chain. And I think we should continue the chain as much as possible. And with NATAB, I can proudly say, because being, I mean, we all are working more than like many years. Aditya and I mean, we are more like it's been almost 20 years, and for us, this matters a lot that the organization, the operator we are working with, they follow this ethics. I think that makes a lot of difference to work with. And of course, the people who choose NATAB or some other tour operators like NATAB who are ethical about, I mean, they will always keep that in mind, that I mean, a good tour operator would definitely keep that in mind, that the animals comes first, and then you have to respect. There should be a mutual respect between these two. So yeah, and the rest, so what all we can do to make this conservation tourism into this, I mean, to the highest point where we know that we have the opportunity, or we can take the ownership of saving these animals, or saving a particular habitat, how we can restore the habitat. When you see the difference, you talk about it, you learn about it, you let other people know about it. So think, it's just now, it's just like the ball is in your court. You know how to do it, you know how to think. Like, share with us, share with the people who are working in conservation. I think that will definitely motivate all of us who are into this whole wildlife family. And that is where I end this discussion. Thank you so much for listening to us. And we definitely missed Aditya. And hopefully we will be back with more information and more webinars together. Thank you so much. Rob, I'm ready to take up questions.
All right, then. Thank you, Arpita. Now, before we start in with the question and answer session, I would like to remind everyone that you can submit your questions via the question field in your control panel. All right, let's get to some of these questions. So you mentioned the term gypsy driver. Can you explain that to us?
Sorry, can you just come again?
Yes. You mentioned gypsy drivers. Can you tell us what
Yes.
a gypsy driver is?
Oh, it's the vehicle. I mean, the vehicle we take into the forest. That's a company. I mean, that's a car named Jeep. It's a Jeep. Okay, it's an open vehicle. So the driver is from the community, or maybe the lodge naturalist will drive the vehicle. So, but mostly where we go, mostly the naturalists drive the vehicle, but many have their own vehicle, so they would go inside the forest. So they are from the local community.
Great. Thank you so much for addressing that one.
Mhm.
So can you talk about the snow leopards for a second? Are the numbers of snow leopards increasing now, and how is tourism helping to change that?
Okay, first I'll try to answer the second one. Is the number is increasing? That's what the data say. And even we know, because people are getting involved in protection for the snow leopard. I mean, long back, there were a lot of man-animal conflict were there, because when it is winter, or when there is scarcity of food, like the wild uh, herbivores, so they used to come down, take away those domesticated animals from the villages. And over there, the terrain is not like that they can go with vegetables. I mean, they can do agriculture, a lot of agriculture and stuff, so they have to depend on those cattle and stuff. So there were a lot of conflicts. But when this local community got that involvement, got that ownership of that, and they understood that people are coming, because when people are arriving, or they are getting into those areas, they a lot of revenue is generating, and that's where they are getting their sustainable livelihood. So the killing of snow leopard, the thought of killing of snow leopard, because I mean, snow leopards take away their cattle, that has been stopped. Now they tell a lot of story where they have been together, they talk about their ancestral story. So now they are more concerned about the snow leopard being there, rather than this revenge killing thing. So yes, that's how it is saving. And now about the number, definitely it has increased, because the sighting has increased. So that there we can say that, of course, the number has increased. That's the reason why the movement is there. But again, due to the terrain, it is very difficult to monitor if they are going far away, because it's a huge area. You can imagine it's a Himalayan, like, whole terrain, the Hemis National Park area. So of course, so that makes it different. But right now in 2021, in that particular area where we go, in that spread out, there have near about 300 snow leopard.
Great. Thank you again for that. So let's talk about elephants for a minute or two here. So we know that you said that elephants are no longer captured and domesticated,
Right.
but how are the animals, how are the elephants trained? Is it terribly cruel, or do they have humane ways to train them?
No, so the thing is, if we're talking about the cruel training part, which used to happen, I mean, exactly, you have to like train an elephant like that to break the morality and everything of the strength of the elephant. So that's the reason why the policy have been passed. So now, whatever captive elephants are there who have been used for revenue generation, there is no new elephant which have been trained to do that. These are the one, because we cannot get these animals into, get them back into the wild, right? So as long as they are there, it's fine. Once it's over, there would be no new training, there would be no new torture, nothing. I mean, it has been prohibited. It is illegal by law if you train animal from the wild and keep it in captivity.
So are the elephants that are in captivity, are the people who own them breeding them, and can they continue to have a license to give these rides and use them if they're breeding?
No, there is a lot of thing regarding this. So if they are having those elephants, like they are not breeding them, but because everybody cannot owns a huge number of elephants, right? So there are like particular elephants which have been used, but they cannot use them for any revenue generation. So many times it happens they have donated those elephants to elephant rescue centers because they can't work with those elephants anymore.
Do we know what the average lifespan of an elephant in captivity is?
Captivity, they can live up to 75 to 80 years, sometimes 90 years as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like a human life.
So is there any danger that a domesticated elephant would react to a tiger while it's giving a ride?
Generally they get to know, or they can find it, like if the tiger is nearby, so you will understand. I mean, the mahout would be there, you would understand that their body language changes if a tiger is nearby, and so that's how you know. But generally with the domesticated elephant, never it happened like with the guest that the attacks or the animals have run away, because I think the mahout is there to understand the whole thing. So whenever their body language changes and all, and always, even we say all the time that to keep a good distance so that none of the animals feel threatened. So it never happened with in our trip.
So let's talk about tigers. What is the status of tiger poaching in India now? And has ecotourism and conservation efforts made an impact on stopping that?
Oh, it has reduced like drastically. Tiger poaching was a huge factor for which we were losing it. Uh, and right now, because people, I mean, know about it, that how things are there. So imagine from 2,900 tiger to it's 3,100 tigers are living in India. So definitely the number has increased, and I won't say that we don't get poaching news. We do get, but it has like very minimum.
Good, thank you for addressing that. So in India, do the national parks have specific guidelines related to how many jeeps there can be and how long they can be around a tiger?
Yeah, around the tiger, no, but there is a specific time to be inside the park. So like 4 hours, 4.5 hours, you get a time to drive inside the park. And in the afternoon, it is half an hour less. In winter, it is 1 hour less because it gets dark quickly. So yeah, there is a timing, and there is a provision of, in different area, in different parks, there's a provision of number of vehicles can go inside. That's the reason why we have to know, I mean, we have to get the confirmation of, of the guest long back, because we have to acquire all the tickets. Otherwise, last moment reservation, we might not be able to accommodate. I mean, last minute means if it is like in 1 or 2 months. That's the reason why we have to know it very early, because there is like numbers and how many people or how many vehicles can enter.
Great. Well, thank you, Arpita. That's going to be the last question that we do have time for today. So I'd like to hand it back to you for your closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and listening. If you have more questions, please write it down. We will get back, and we will try. I mean, Aditya and I will try to come back with related the same, like this topic, but with a lot of other information, which is good for this tourism, and maybe more on animal welfare. But till then, have a great weekend to all of you. Have lots of fun, see a lot of animals, and do a lot of backyard sighting. And Rob, even for you, wish you a very happy weekend. Have fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arpita. You have fun yourself. We appreciate you coming on and taking the time to present for us today. And I'd also like to thank everyone who tuned in today. Now, if you are interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab, please give us a call at the number on your screen, or you can send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are happy to help you out. Join us Monday for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out next week's lineup, including the registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.